Hello, everyone. The 20th century is a time when the economy, culture, humanity's technology is thriving. And to decide who's the most powerful person in the world, nations decided to punch each other. In the year 1914, there's been a large-scale war in the world. It's never been bigger, and it's called the end of the war. Every life, war. Today we are known by the name. This is a world map of the 21st century, and this is a map of the world of the 20th century. You can see it? Countries looked very different back then. In the early 20th century, most Western countries followed imperialism and colonialism. Simply put, colonialism meant sending troops to bully weaker nations, expand territory, exploit, and steal their resources to enrich their own country. This disgraceful ideology emerged in Europe in the 16th century. France and Russia were the three earliest empires and captured most of the countries in Europe, African and Asian colonization. And now Germany is emerging as a new empire. Germany's economy has now surpassed France's and second in the world. However, because of development, it was late, so Germany was finished. Most of the world is occupied by you. France was colonized before. Germany wants its territory to be larger and richer. So this German will conspire. The French have to divide their land. Germany alone is not enough. So Germany has a lot for the coat and Italy. If you help me steal French land, then I'll give you a cup of milk tea. Remember a lot of pearls in there. Therefore, Germany, Austria-Hungary, and Italy decided to form a gang and name it the Alliance. The Alliance prepares to arm, to steal the land and redivide the world. I know my colony is being watched. The French also invited each other to form a gang and called the group the Treaty Gang. Then the gang recruited more teammates from other countries, and the atmosphere on Earth became more tense than ever. Basically, the nations had divided into two opposing political blocs and were ready to fight at any moment. The world was like a ticking time bomb, one touch and it would explode. Austria-Hungary belonged to the Alliance, while Serbia was aligned with the Entente, so the two countries deeply resented each other. One day, the Archduke of Austria-Hungary and his wife were riding through the city in an open-top car. Knowing their schedule in advance, Serbian nationalists sent an assassin to kill him. The assassin waited and threw a bomb at their car. However, the bomb missed the Archduke's vehicle and instead hit a car in the convoy behind them. The assassination attempt failed. The Archduke escaped, and in the end, World War I did not break out. The Archduke decided to return to the hospital to visit the wounded members of his convoy. By sheer coincidence, he came face to face with the assassin who had previously failed to kill him. This time, the assassin fired a fatal shot at close range. The government of Austria-Hungary was furious about this, and they blamed Serbia for being involved in the incident, and in fact, there really was involvement. However, Austria-Hungary did not have any evidence to attack Serbia. So Austria-Hungary decided to write an ultimatum and send it to Serbia to provoke them. In the letter, Austria-Hungary demanded that Serbia do extremely unreasonable things and also respond within 48 hours. Otherwise, Austria-Hungary would launch a war. In fact, Austria-Hungary did not expect Serbia to reply to the letter. They only used it to provoke Serbia and to create an excuse to justify the war. Austria-Hungary then called on its ally Germany to join in attacking Serbia together. And Germany was quite interested in the matter. On July 28, 1914, Austria-Hungary fired the first shots into Serbian territory. Russia immediately mobilized to protect its bro Serbia. Seeing its ally being pushed around by Russia, Germany couldn't just sit there and officially declared war on Russia. Even though Russia was huge, its military was pretty clumsy. So Russia decided to hit up France and got them to gang up on Germany. Germany then sent France an ultimatum demanding that it stay out of the war. But France was still mad after getting absolutely wrecked by Germany in the Franco-Prussian War and losing 2 cities. Seeing this as the perfect chance for revenge, France declared war on Germany. In addition, France also invited Britain to join them. Hey bro, if I get beaten up, make sure you save me, okay? Britain decided not to get involved in this matter. At this point, Germany was caught between Russia and France. This general came up with an idea Russia was very slow and would need at least 40 days to fully mobilize its forces. So during those 40 days, he will concentrate troops in the west, beat France to a pulp, then shift the army to the east and smash Russia. In the end, the war would be over and Germany would become the master of Europe. Germany was very confident of victory because at that time it was known as an extremely aggressive nation with a highly skilled army and many powerful military weapons. However, France had many defensive fortresses along the German-French border. To take down those fortresses, Germany would have needed a lot of time, and 40 days would not have been enough. So Germany tried to outflank France by marching its troops through Belgium and attacking the undefended areas of France. Germany also wanted Belgium to keep this plan secret. Belgium was a neutral country, so it did not stay silent when German troops violated its territory. Germany did not expect Belgium's army to be quite strong, and having to fight Belgium slowed the German forces down significantly compared to their original plan. However, Belgium was still not a match for Germany. While marching through Belgium, German troops killed many civilians and priests along the way, which greatly damaged Germany's image in the eyes of the international community. And President Woodrow Wilson acted like Jesus by strongly urging the European nations to stop fighting and make peace. However, a portion of German Americans strongly supported their homeland in the war. But when they heard about some of the brutal actions carried out by German troops in Belgium, they became less supportive. Britain was part of the Entente, but it did not want to get involved in this matter. However, after seeing Germany's disgraceful actions against a neutral country like Belgium, Britain became concerned that Germany might push its advantage and directly invade its own territory. So Britain sent an ultimatum to Germany, demanding that it withdraw its troops from Belgium. However, Germany ignored it, so Britain entered the war to teach Germany a lesson. Germany's destruction in Belgium echoed across Europe, and the surprise attack plan against France was exposed. France discovered Germany's scheme and quickly reinforced the Belgian-French border. Britain also sent troops to support France, and fierce fighting between Britain, France, and Germany broke out there. Although supported by Britain, pushing back the German army was not easy because Germany had extremely advanced military weapons, and it was only a little short of capturing Paris. Then, on the Eastern Front, Russia mobilized its troops much earlier than Germany had expected, not 40 days, and began shelling the Russian-German and Russian-Austro-Hungarian borders. Austria-Hungary, you handled the Russians. Okay. However, Austria-Hungary's army was quite weak. The commander of the Austro-Hungarian forces was this guy. Although he had a pretty handsome face, totally my type, he wasn't exactly the smartest commander. The guy kept ignoring Germany's advice and only acted on his own. But whenever he ran into trouble, he demanded that Germany come and rescue him. Germany had no other choice but to withdraw some troops from the Western Front in France to the Eastern Front in order to support Austria-Hungary. And this was an opportunity for France. France mobilized all its forces to repel the German army and successfully defended Paris. However, by the time they reached the Marne River, the French troops were utterly exhausted and unable to continue the pursuit. The Germans were in a similar situation, and both sides shifted to a defensive posture by digging trenches and holding their ground underground. This phase of the war is now known as trench warfare. The war entered a phase of stalemate, with neither side yielding to the other. The trench systems were expanded to 780 kilometers, stretching from the North Sea to the Swiss border. There were dozens of shootings and bombardments in a single day. If you made even the slightest mistake and stuck your head above the ground for just a moment, you lose it instantly in a storm of enemy bullets. Hundreds of thousands of men died just to gain a few kilometers of land. Life in the trenches was extremely miserable. The trenches were often flooded and had no proper drainage, so soldiers' feet became swollen and rotten from being soaked for too long. In addition, the damp environment in the trenches also created conditions for rats and bacteria to thrive. The soldiers had to live alongside corpses, the stench of decay, and various diseases. And their lives in the trenches went on like that for 4 years. In short, Germany had originally planned to crush France within 40 days. But after 4 years, there was still no decisive winner. Germany's plan for a quick victory had completely failed. Looking at the bigger picture at this point, Germany was now stuck in the middle. The Western Front was against France, and the Eastern Front against Russia, while Austria-Hungary was mostly useless. The longer the stalemate lasted, the worse it was for Germany. So Germany reduced troops in the West and shifted them east to deliver a decisive blow and force Russia out of the war. And Germany's military was truly formidable, while Russia, aside from being huge, was actually quite clumsy.
Russia's military system was conservative and outdated. Most Russian soldiers were peasants, largely illiterate, and lacking proper military training. Some didn't even know how to load a rifle. The officer corps was full of privileged elites with little battlefield experience. As a result, Russia got beaten badly by Germany and lost a vast stretch of territory. Despite taking heavy losses, the Tsar still refused to back down. Russia was stubborn, but by this point, German troops were also exhausted and no longer strong enough to push deeper. Germany's plan to kick Russia out of the war ultimately failed. A fairly notorious imperial power in Asia, Japan took advantage of Germany being busy fighting in Europe. Japan sent Germany an ultimatum demanding that Germany hand over one of its colonies, Jiaozhou in China, and required a reply within 8 days. Germany did not respond to the ultimatum. As a result, Japan declared war on Germany and quickly seized Jiaozhou. While at it, Japan also grabbed several of Germany's colonial islands in the Pacific. Almost forgot, Germany still had another buddy, Italy. Italy was part of the alliance, but chose to stay neutral and didn't want to join the war. The Entente then tempted Italy by promising to give it some Austro-Hungarian territory if Italy helped them win the war. And Italy probably realized there was a high chance Germany would get wrecked, so Italy switched sides. Austria-Hungary called Italy a traitor and decided to teach it a lesson, declaring war on Italy. Germany was in serious trouble, carrying the whole team while also being betrayed by its own ally. But fortunately for Germany at this point, the Ottoman Empire, a neighbor of Russia that had held a long-standing grudge against it, was still around. Knowing this, Germany persuaded the Ottomans to join the alliance. The Ottoman Empire officially joined the alliance and declared war on Russia. However, the Ottomans didn't seem very smart. Their first plan was to cross the Caucasus Mountains to attack Russia, but they failed to anticipate the brutal cold, and large numbers of their soldiers froze to death. After that, the Ottoman Empire shifted its focus to seizing the Suez Canal, which was under British control. But British forces were too strong, so the Ottomans got beaten again. They later launched several more campaigns, but all of them ended in failure. At that time, within the Ottoman Empire, there was an ethnic group called the Armenians. Armenians lived in Ottoman territory, but they were relatively close to Russia because they shared the same religion. The Ottoman government irrationally blamed its repeated military defeats on the Armenians. It then carried out a genocide against them, resulting in the deaths of nearly 1 million Armenians. This event shocked world public opinion at the time. Returning to Germany after a series of defeats, Germany came up with a new idea. In Central Asia at that time, India and Afghanistan were under British colonial rule. Germany clearly knew that if the two colonies went to war with each other, the mother country, Britain, would face trouble, and Germany would take advantage of that chaos to eliminate Britain entirely. And Germany decided to carry out that plan by sending agents to Afghanistan to spread propaganda, urging the people to rise up and gain independence from Britain, as well as to attack their neighbor, India. However, Germany not only failed to persuade Afghanistan, but its instigating actions also enraged India, and India declared that it would punch Germany in the face. Thus, Germany's instigation plan collapsed and even brought about a new enemy, India. Before the war broke out, the countries negotiated rules that were forbidden in warfare. First, the use of chemical weapons was not allowed. Second, killing civilians was prohibited. Finally, whoever violated the rules would be a dog. And Germany decided it would be the dog. Germany began ruthlessly dropping bombs on British cities, using chemical weapons and launching gas attacks. At the same time, it used submarines to sink British merchant ships. Germany's submarine strategy was extremely effective, and Britain had no way to stop it. Numerous British cargo ships were sunk, the economy was strangled, famine began to appear at home, and Britain stood on the brink of defeat. By chance, Germany accidentally fired on an American ship, causing 128 sailors to lose their lives. This incident turned the United States from a neutral country into one that no longer had a good impression of Germany. On the southern front at this time, Austria-Hungary had still not finished dealing with Serbia. Bulgaria is a neighboring country of Serbia and was still bitter about losing to Serbia in several previous wars. Germany and Austria-Hungary tempted Bulgaria by promising that if it joined the alliance, whatever it wanted would be granted. so Bulgaria decided to join the alliance and take the opportunity to get revenge on Serbia. Being attacked by both Austria-Hungary and Bulgaria at the same time, Serbia collapsed. In 1917, the world had been fighting for 3 years, and the war had passed its peak. But the question was, which country would be the first to cease fire and withdraw from the war?
In the next video, we will witness the final battle of the war. Late 1918, the last great offensive begins. Armies clash one final time, empires crumble, and the fate of Europe is decided.